The white frosting exploded across the wooden deck like shattered dreams. My nephew Joseph stood over the wreckage of my nursing school graduation cake, his 12-year-old face twisted into a smirk that belonged on someone 3 times his age. "Eat it off the ground, Aunt Grace," he said, loud enough for the entire backyard party to hear. "That's where losers belong." The silence stretched for exactly 3 heartbeats. Then the laughter started. My sister Chantel doubled over, wine sloshing from her glass. "Oh my God, Joseph, you're terrible." But she was grinning, proud of her little monster. My mother Lois clapped her hands together like Joseph had just performed Shakespeare. "Grace, honey, don't make such a big deal. It's just cake." Just cake. The cake I'd bought myself because no one else remembered. The cake that said, "Congratulations, Grace," in blue letters that now bled into the deck stain. The cake for the nursing degree I'd earned while working 3 jobs to support this very family. I stood there holding the plastic knife I'd been using to serve slices, watching 23 relatives and family friends stare at me, waiting. Some looked uncomfortable, but none spoke up. Not one person told Joseph to apologize. Not one person bent down to help clean up the mess. Something crystallized inside me in that moment. Not anger. Anger was too hot, too messy. This was colder, sharper, like ice forming over a lake, sealing everything underneath. I set the knife down on the picnic table with deliberate care, untied my apron, folded it neatly beside the paper plates. "Grace, where are you going?" Chantel called out, but I could hear the laughter still bubbling in her voice. I walked to my car in complete silence. But as I drove away, I wasn't crying. I was planning. If this story moves you or you've experienced family betrayal like this, hit that like button. Because what happens next will shock you. The drive home took 43 minutes, and every mile brought back memories I'd buried under years of being the good daughter. I was 8 when Dad left, and Mom's first words weren't about missing him. They were about money. "Grace, you're the responsible one now. Chantel's too sensitive for all this." Even then, at 8 years old, I was expected to be the adult. When Chantel got pregnant at 19, I was the one who paid for her prenatal vitamins while finishing my bachelor's degree. When she needed a car seat, I worked double shifts at the diner. When Joseph needed school supplies, guess whose credit card got maxed out? "Grace doesn't need help. She's strong," Mom would tell anyone who'd listen. But Chantel? She's delicate. Delicate enough to need my rent money every month for the past 3 years. Delicate enough to require a $2,000 emergency loan every few months that never got repaid. Delicate enough to let her 12-year-old son destroy my graduation cake while she laughed. The pattern was always the same. Chantel would get praised for the smallest things, making Joseph's lunch, showing up to a parent-teacher conference, posting a motivational quote on Facebook. Meanwhile, I'd graduated summa cum laude from nursing school while working full-time. And the only acknowledgement was Mom asking if I could help out with Chantel's rent again. Last month, when Chantel got a part-time job at a boutique, Mom threw her a celebration dinner. "We're so proud of you for taking initiative." When I got accepted into the ICU program at the hospital, the most competitive unit in the state, Mom's response was, "That's nice, honey. Can you pick up some groceries for Chantel on your way home?" I pulled into my apartment complex and sat in the car, engine ticking as it cooled. My phone buzzed with a text from the family group chat, probably someone asking where I'd gone. I didn't look. Instead, I opened my banking app and scrolled through 3 years of transaction history. Transfer to Lois Wilson, $800. Transfer to Chantel Wilson, $1,200. Transfer to Chantel Wilson, $900. The numbers blurred together into one devastating truth. I wasn't their daughter or sister. I was their ATM. My phone started buzzing before I even made it upstairs to my apartment. The family group chat, Wilson family, was lighting up like a Christmas tree. Chantel. Grace left her own party, LOL, so dramatic. Lois. She'll get over it. You know how Grace is Uncle Mike. What happened? I missed it. Chantel. Joseph knocked over her cake and she had a meltdown. Lois, some people can't take a joke. I stared at the screen, my hands trembling. A joke. My public humiliation was a joke to them. I kept scrolling. Cousin Rita. Poor Grace, that seemed harsh. Chantel. She's fine. Grace is tough. She doesn't need coddling like the rest of us, Lois. Exactly. Grace can handle anything. The messages kept coming for 20 minutes. Not one person asked if I was okay. Not one person suggested Joseph should apologize. They talked about me like I was a piece of furniture that had been moved to the wrong room. Inconvenient, but easily ignored. Then, at 9:47 p.m., my phone buzzed with a private message from Chantel. Chantel. Hey, sorry about tonight. Joseph's just being a kid. Anyway, can you send $2,000 for his private school tuition? The deadline is Monday and I'm short. I read it 3 times. They destroy my cake and ask for my money in the same breath. My fingers hovered over the keyboard. For 28 years, I would have typed, of course, or I'll transfer it tomorrow. The good daughter. The responsible one. The family ATM. Instead, I screenshot the message and saved it to a folder I'd never created before. Evidence. Then I opened my laptop and pulled up 3 years of bank records. What I found made my hands shake. Not from sadness, but from rage. Transfer after transfer. Emergency after emergency. Crisis after crisis. All solved with my money, my credit, my signature on dotted lines I'd been too trusting to read carefully. Chantel's car payment. $437 monthly. Co-signed by me. Mom's mortgage refinance. $1,800 monthly. Co-signed by me. Joseph's college fund credit card. Minimum payment of $215 monthly. Paid by me. The family vacation to Disney World last year that I couldn't afford to join. $3,400. Charged to a card with my name on it. I wasn't their daughter or sister. I was their personal bank, and they'd been making withdrawals for years without ever planning to make deposits. My phone buzzed again. Another message from Chantel. Grace? Did you see my text about the tuition? I opened my laptop and pulled up 3 years of bank records. What I found made my hands shake. Not from sadness, but from rage. The numbers on my laptop screen glowed like accusations in the dark apartment. I'd been methodically going through every automatic payment, every co-signed document, every small favor that had somehow become permanent financial obligations. The mortgage refinance from 2 years ago. Primary borrower, Lois Wilson. Co-signer, responsible for full payment, Grace Wilson. $2,000 monthly, automatically withdrawn from my checking account. Chantel's SUV loan. Co-signer assumes full liability in case of default. $1,200 monthly. She'd missed 4 payments in the past year. I'd covered every single one without even knowing. The credit card for Joseph's future college expenses. $500 monthly minimum. Current balance, $18,400. Charges included a gaming setup, designer clothes, and a family trip to Cancun that I wasn't invited on. But the discovery that made my blood run cold was buried in my email archives. A loan document from last year that I'd signed during Mom's medical emergency. Except according to the bank records, the money hadn't gone to medical bills. It had gone to Chantel's wedding dress, the reception venue, and a honeymoon to Hawaii. The wedding I'd helped pay for while working double shifts to afford a bridesmaid dress I'd bought myself. Total monthly obligations in my name, $4,700. My salary as a new ICU nurse, $4,200 monthly, after taxes. For 3 years, I'd been living below the poverty line while funding their middle-class lifestyle. Every ramen noodle dinner, every declined social invitation because I couldn't afford it. Every night I'd fallen asleep wondering how other people my age could afford cars and vacations and basic luxuries. I wasn't poor. I was being robbed. The loan documents were all there, saved in my email with subject lines like, "Quick signature needed," and "Just a formality." I'd signed them during family emergencies, hospital visits, and crisis moments when saying no felt impossible. Primary borrower, Lois Wilson. Co-signer responsible for full payment, Grace Wilson. Primary borrower, Chantel Wilson. Co-signer assumes full liability, Grace Wilson. Emergency contact and financial guarantor, Grace Wilson. I wasn't family. I was their personal bank, and they'd been making withdrawals for years without ever planning to make deposits. My phone buzzed again. Chantel. Grace, I really need that tuition money. Joseph's counting on this school. I stared at the message, then at the loan documents scattered across my screen. Joseph's private school tuition was $2,000, the same amount I'd been paying monthly on Mom's mortgage. The same amount Chantel spent on her car payment and shopping sprees. Have you ever been financially exploited by family? You're not alone in this. I picked up my phone and typed a message that would destroy their world in exactly 72 hours. Monday morning, I walked into Pacific Northwest Credit Union wearing my best navy blazer and carrying a manila folder thick with evidence. The receptionist directed me to Chester Martinez, senior financial advisor, whose office walls were lined with certificates that made me feel like I'd finally found an adult. Chester was in his 50s, with kind eyes behind wire-rimmed glasses and the patient demeanor of someone who'd seen every financial nightmare imaginable. I spread my documents across his mahogany desk like a prosecutor presenting evidence. Miss Wilson, he said after reviewing the first few pages, how long has this been going on? 3 years of systematic payments. But I think they've been setting this up longer. I handed him the email chain where Mom had convinced me to add my name to her mortgage refinance. She said it was just to help with approval, that I'd never actually be responsible for payments. Chester's jaw tightened as he read, Miss Grace, you've been financially abused. This is economic manipulation disguised as family obligation. He pulled out a legal pad and started taking notes. You're listed as primary or co-primary on how many accounts? 7 loans, 4 credit cards, and 2 mortgages. The words felt surreal leaving my mouth. Total monthly obligation? $4,700. He set down his pen and looked at me directly. Your family has been committing financial fraud. They've used your credit and income to fund their lifestyle while keeping you in poverty. This is a form of economic abuse. The validation hit me like a physical force. For 3 years, I'd thought I was helping family. I'd been a victim. What are my options? I asked. Chester opened his computer and pulled up legal forms. We can remove you from every single obligation. Co-signer release, liability transfer, credit separation. It's all legal and binding. How long until I'm completely free? 72 hours, and they'll receive official notification from each institution simultaneously. He smiled grimly. It's like pulling the foundation out from under a house. Everything collapses at once. We spent 2 hours going through each document. Chester made calls to legal departments, credit agencies, and loan officers. I signed form after form, each signature feeling like cutting another chain. This releases you from the mortgage, he said, stamping the first document. This removes you from the car loans. This closes your liability on their credit cards. The notary, a woman named Patricia, witnessed each signature with professional efficiency. Honey, she whispered as I signed the final form, I see this more often than you'd think. Family can be the cruelest creditors. Chester handed me copies of everything in a neat folder labeled Financial Independence Documentation. Miss Wilson, at 5 p.m. on Wednesday, automated systems will send notification letters to your family members. Their payments will be due in full, and their credit will reflect the change immediately. I stood up, folder in hand, feeling lighter than I had in years. Thank you, Chester. Thank you for having the courage to break the cycle. Wednesday at 5:03 p.m., my phone started ringing. I was in the hospital break room, eating a turkey sandwich and reviewing patient charts, when the first call came through. Mom's contact photo, a smiling family picture from last Christmas that now felt like evidence of a crime, flashed on my screen. I let it go to voicemail. Then Chantel called. Then Mom again. Then a number I didn't recognize. By 5:15, I had 12 missed calls. The voicemail started rolling in like a tsunami of panic. Grace, the bank says you removed yourself from the mortgage. Our house payment bounced. Call me back immediately. Mom's voice was shrill, desperate in a way I'd never heard before. Grace, what the hell did you do? My car payment got declined and they're talking about repossession. Joseph has school tomorrow. Chantel's message was half screaming, half sobbing. This is your mother calling for the fourth time. The credit card company froze our account. They said the cosigner removed authorization. Grace, if you don't call me back in 1 hour, I'm driving to your apartment. I saved each voicemail to a folder labeled Evidence and took another bite of my sandwich. The text messages were even better. Lois. Grace, call me now. Lois. The bank sent a letter saying you're no longer responsible for payments. Lois. Do you know what you've done? Chantel. You're destroying this family. Joseph will be homeless because of you. Chantel. I can't believe you'd hurt a child over money. Chantel. Mom's crying. Are you happy now? Unknown. Number. This is your father. Your mother is having a panic attack. Call home. I screenshot every message and kept eating my sandwich. Around me, my coworkers chatted about their evening plans, completely unaware that 3 miles away, my family's financial house of cards was collapsing in real time. At 6:30, my supervisor, Lauren, stopped by my table. Grace, your phone's been buzzing nonstop. Everything okay? Just family drama, I said, turning the phone face down. Nothing I can't handle. By 7 p.m., I had 37 missed calls and 42 text messages. The family group chat had exploded into chaos. Uncle Mike. What's going on? Lois called, crying about the house. Cousin Rita. Grace, what did you do? Chantel. She removed herself from all our loans without warning Lois. 28 years I raised her, and this is how she repays me. Aunt Carol. There has to be more to this story, Chantel. She's selfish. Always has been. Now she's trying to destroy us. I turned off my phone and drove home in perfect silence. When I got to my apartment, there were 17 more voicemails waiting. I didn't listen to a single one. Instead, I poured myself a glass of wine, ordered Thai food, and calculated how much money I'd have left over each month now that I wasn't funding their lifestyle. $2,700. Enough for a vacation. A new car. A life. The silence felt like freedom. Thursday evening, I was reviewing patient files when my building's intercom buzzed. The doorman's voice crackled through the speaker. Miss Wilson, you have visitors in the lobby. They're quite insistent. Through my apartment's security monitor, I could see them. Mom and Chantel, both looking like they'd been crying for hours. Mom clutched a stack of papers, probably the bank notifications. Chantel held Joseph's hand, using him as a prop in whatever performance they'd planned. I pressed the intercom button. I'm not available for visitors. Grace? Mom's voice echoed through the lobby. We need to talk. You can't just destroy your family and hide. Other residents were staring now. Mrs. Chen from 4B paused by the mailboxes, clearly uncomfortable. The evening doorman, Marcus, stepped closer to my family with professional concern. Ma'am, if the resident doesn't want visitors, you'll need to leave, Marcus said politely. She's my daughter. Mom's voice cracked. She's stolen our house, our car, everything. That's when Chantel lost it completely. Grace Wilson, get down here right now, she screamed at the ceiling. You're killing your own family over money. Joseph might have to change schools because of you. I called building security first, then 911. I need police assistance. Family members are trespassing and refusing to leave my building. Through the monitor, I watched the scene escalate. Chantel was now sobbing dramatically while Joseph looked around confused. Mom had cornered Marcus, waving the bank letters in his face. Look at these. She co-signed for everything and then abandoned us. What kind of daughter does that? Marcus, bless him, remained professional. Ma'am, I understand you're upset, but you need to leave the premises. "We're not leaving until she comes down," Chantel shrieked. That's when the police arrived. Two officers entered the lobby, Officer Rodriguez and Officer Kim. I watched through the monitor as they approached my family with calm authority. "What seems to be the problem here?" Officer Rodriguez asked. "My daughter has financially destroyed our family." Mom rushed toward him with the papers. "She removed herself from our loans without warning. We could lose everything." Officer Kim looked at the documents, then at Marcus. "Has the resident asked them to leave?" "Multiple times," Marcus confirmed. "She doesn't want visitors." "Ma'am," Officer Rodriguez addressed my mother. "She has the right to financial independence from family. Removing yourself from loans isn't illegal. It's actually smart financial planning." "But we're family," Chantel wailed. "You can't just abandon family." "You can choose your level of financial involvement with anyone, including family," Officer Kim explained patiently. "If she's asked you to leave, you need to respect that boundary." I pressed the intercom one final time. "Officers, I have documentation of harassment via phone and text if you need it for your report." "We'll take a statement," Officer Rodriguez replied. Through my window, I watched them escort my family outside. Mom was still clutching those bank letters like they were evidence of a crime. Chantel kept looking back at my building, her face twisted with rage and disbelief. Have you ever had to call authorities on toxic family? Share your boundary-setting stories below. The police report number was 2024-0847. I saved it in my evidence folder, right next to everything else. Friday morning, my phone exploded with notifications. Not calls this time. Facebook tags. Mom had posted a novel-length status update with a photo of our family from last Christmas. All of us smiling around the tree. The caption made my stomach turn. Lois Wilson. Sometimes the child you sacrifice everything for becomes the one who destroys you. My daughter Grace abandoned her family in our darkest hour. After 28 years of love, support, and putting her through school, she removed herself from helping with family expenses without warning. Now we face losing our home, and my grandson Joseph may have to leave his school. I don't understand how someone can be so heartless to their own blood. Please pray for our family during this difficult time. Heartbroken, family, shocked your betrayal. The post had 43 comments in 2 hours. Aunt Carol. I'm so sorry, Lois. I can't believe Grace would do this. Family friend Janet. After everything you've done for her? Ungrateful. Neighbor Susan. Some people forget where they came from. But then I saw other comments that made me pause. Cousin Rita. Wait, Grace was paying for your house? For how long? High school friend Maria. This seems like there's more to the story. Former coworker Dave. Grace is one of the most generous people I know. Something doesn't add up. I screenshot the entire post and comments thread, then crafted a single professional response. I didn't comment on Mom's post. Instead, I sent a private message to my supervisor, HR department, and close colleagues. You may see social media posts about my personal family matters. Please disregard any claims made. I've recently established healthy financial boundaries with family members, and some are responding poorly. I appreciate your professionalism and discretion during this time. Grace. Then I posted one status update of my own. Grace Wilson. Sometimes protecting your peace requires disappointing people who never protected yours. Grateful for the family I've chosen and the boundaries that keep me healthy. Growth, boundaries, self-care. Within an hour, my post had more likes than Mom's. Comments poured in from coworkers, nursing school friends, and people who actually knew me. Lauren, supervisor. Proud of your strength, Grace. Nursing school friend Amy. You've always been the one giving. Good for you. Coworker James. Boundaries aren't selfish, they're necessary. Mom's post started getting different responses too. Cousin Rita. Lois. If Grace was paying your mortgage, maybe she had good reasons for stopping. High school friend Maria. Grace worked 3 jobs through nursing school. She's not heartless. By evening, Mom had deleted her post, but I'd already saved everything. The truth, it turned out, didn't need defending. It just needed time to surface. 6 months later, I was sitting in Lauren's office, staring at a promotion letter that felt surreal. "Grace, your leadership during the COVID surge was exceptional," Lauren said, sliding the document across her desk. "The ICU team specifically requested you for the charge nurse position. Your ability to stay calm under pressure and support your colleagues has been remarkable." I read the salary figure twice. $68,000 annually, a $20,000 increase. More money than I'd ever imagined having. "When you're not carrying everyone else's weight, you can finally fly," I said, signing the acceptance letter. The transformation had been gradual but undeniable. Without the constant financial stress, I'd thrown myself into work with renewed energy. I'd completed advanced certifications, volunteered for difficult cases, and mentored new nurses. My colleagues had noticed the change immediately. "You seem lighter," my friend Amy had said over coffee last month. "Like you're finally living for yourself." She was right. For the first time in my adult life, I was making decisions based on what I wanted, not what my family needed from me. I'd moved to a 1-bedroom apartment in Capitol Hill with exposed brick walls and a view of the Space Needle. The rent was $800 more than my old place, but I could afford it now. I'd bought real furniture, not secondhand pieces from Craigslist, but an actual matching bedroom set and a couch that hadn't been someone else's first. My savings account, which had never held more than $300, now showed a balance of $12,400. I'd opened a retirement account, started investing, and even booked a vacation to Ireland for next spring. The silence from my family had become permanent. No more crisis calls, no more guilt-laden texts, no more emergency loans. The quiet felt like peace now, not punishment. Last week, I'd received a friend request from Joseph on Instagram. He was 15 now, taller in his photos, playing basketball at a public school. I'd declined the request gently. Some bridges, once burned, were meant to stay that way. My chosen family had grown stronger. Amy and I had weekly dinners. My coworkers included me in their book club. I'd started dating Marcus, the doorman who'd protected my boundaries that night in the lobby. He understood the value of quiet strength. "You know what's funny?" I told Lauren as I stood to leave her office. "I spent 28 years trying to earn their love by giving them everything. Now I have people who love me for who I am, not what I can provide." Lauren smiled. "That's not funny, Grace. That's healing." Outside her office, I looked at my reflection in the hallway mirror. The woman staring back looked confident, rested, free. She looked like someone who finally belonged to herself. 1 year after that graduation party, I stood in my apartment kitchen making coffee and thinking about the woman I used to be. The one who believed love meant sacrifice. The one who thought family loyalty required financial suicide. The one who ate ramen noodles so her sister could buy designer handbags. That woman was gone. And I didn't miss her. My phone buzzed with a text from Amy. "Brunch tomorrow? I want to hear about your Ireland planning." I smiled, typing back, "Absolutely. I'll bring the photos of the castles I want to visit." A year ago, I would have been transferring money for someone else's vacation while staying home myself. Now I was planning my own adventure, funded by my own hard work, shared with people who celebrated my joy instead of exploiting it. Family isn't about blood. It's about respect, love, and reciprocity. It's about people who show up for your graduations and defend you when someone destroys your cake. It's about relationships that add to your life instead of draining it. I learned that boundaries aren't walls. They're gates. They keep out the people who would harm you while welcoming in those who truly care. Setting them isn't cruel. It's necessary. It's the difference between being loved and being used. If you're reading this and recognizing yourself in my story, know that you deserve better. You deserve relationships that don't require you to set yourself on fire to keep others warm. You deserve to keep the money you earn, to celebrate your achievements, to have your boundaries respected. The family that laughs when you're humiliated isn't your real family. Your real family is the people who would have bent down to help you clean up that cake, who would have told that child to apologize, who would have celebrated your nursing degree like the incredible achievement it was. Share your story if you're ready. Find your strength when you can. And remember, sometimes the family you choose is infinitely better than the family you're born into. You are worth more than what you can provide to others. You are enough exactly as you are. What's your boundary setting story? Share it below. You might inspire someone else to find their freedom.